Why does our government permit the continued use of amalgam fillings? Why does the FDA, or why has the FDA continued to cover up the amalgam problem? They certainly have been flooded in previous hearings and previous communications with lots of science, and yet in explaining their rule and defending their rule in writing, they don't cite the science that has been provided to them. The vast body of information about amalgams is that they produce a major mercury exposure, and that mercury causes harm to people in different ways depending on their susceptibilities to harm. So I think they know, and I think they're under tremendous pressure to cover up the problem. And the American Dental Association has been the heart of the cover-up for their entire history. They were founded a century and a half ago as the pro-amalgam, pro-mercury faction in dentistry. So they have been locked into this posture of defending amalgam fillings throughout their history, even as the science has grown more and more conclusive that amalgams are not safe. We estimate that in that 20 years, DAMS has helped about 100,000 people. And so it's a large number of people that have emailed us or called us or written to us. And some of them we've talked to a great deal. We've talked to again and again and again, and we've charted their course. And I would say that a majority of them, maybe 80 or 90% of them, have been people who have been poisoned to some extent by amalgams, and many of them severely poisoned by amalgams. So unfortunately, most people don't pay attention to the issue when they're healthy, when things are going reasonably well, and it's when they're sick and when they haven't been helped by their doctors, they haven't been helped by drugs or other conventional things, that they start doing their own research. They look up their symptoms and they say, yes, I think my symptoms match mercury. Where would the source of mercury be? Oh, look, my amalgam fillings. And then they start looking at their life history, and they realize that their symptoms started appearing sometime after the placement of amalgam fillings, sometimes quickly after, sometimes after a gold crown is put in, and that increases the amalgam poisoning from your amalgam fillings because of the battery effect. And when the currents flow more strongly between the different metals, more mercury is released from the amalgams. So sometimes the patient is under greater stress and is weakened by an infection or other factors, and then that's when the mercury poisoning becomes more obvious. About a year ago, I started keeping a file of people who contacted me with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, which is considered to be a terminal illness and a very serious illness. I have a full file folder, an inch thick, of cases that I've collected in the last year of ALS patients. Many people call in with multiple sclerosis. All of the symptoms of MS are symptoms of mercury poisoning. There are many cases of Parkinson's. There are cases that you might just call mercury poisoning, with all the early symptoms of mercury poisoning. It's just hard to describe, but my life has been in some ways like working in an emergency ward with all the calls that come in some days. And it's very amazing, the kind of suffering that continues to go on. Doctors telling their patients that, oh no, it couldn't be amalgam fillings, we can rule that out right away. Patients going back and talking to their dentist who put in the amalgams, and the dentist denying that amalgams could possibly be causing their health problems. So there's a lot of prejudice in the healthcare system that prevents people from hearing the information that amalgams are causing these problems. And then, of course, there's a lot of propaganda that comes out in the media and even on the internet that poo-poos the issue of amalgam harm, amalgam danger. And so our message is, yes, it is very dangerous. It is smart to get amalgams out safely. It is necessary to go to a dentist who can remove the amalgams safely, because if you don't get them removed safely, you're likely to have much worse mercury poisoning during the amalgam removal process. So these are vitally important pieces of information that we're giving to people all the time. We don't just say, well, here's a list of dentists who can do it safely for you, but we want to send them information that explains the importance of safe amalgam removal and also making better choices in terms of dental materials, and also the necessity of detoxifying over a period of time. Is there light at the end of the tunnel? Are we foreseeing a day when amalgams will be banned in America and then quickly banned in many or all countries of the world? It's so hard to know about that kind of a development. We talk about it a lot. We talk about what is going to be the best strategy to bring about the banning of amalgam fillings in America. And you know, they have been banned in Norway and Sweden, and largely banned in Denmark, and apparently in Russia, and largely in Japan. So it is possible for a country to ban amalgam fillings, and these are role models for us, what has been achieved in other countries like Sweden. I think that one of the steps that has a lot of potential for banning mercury is the lawsuit that's being filed this year against the FDA. It's a much larger or it is the big lawsuit, I think, against the FDA, challenging them on many things regarding their amalgam rule. And if the judge decides to be strong and courageous and to strike a blow for truth and for the health of the American people, and strongly acts against this cover-up, I think it could really be dramatically important for America and for the rest of the world.